So, have you ever thought of your own mind as, well, a herd of animals that needs looking after? It might sound a little strange, but about 2,500 years ago, the Buddha did just that. Today, we're going to dive into a really beautiful piece of ancient wisdom called the Mahāgopālakasutta, which is the discourse on the great cowherd. And believe me, it's a timeless guide to personal growth. Pretty much every one of these ancient stories starts with these simple words in the Pali language. Thus have I heard. Now, this isn't just some formal intro. Think of it like a seal of authenticity, a direct link in a chain of memory stretching all the way back to the Buddha's own students. It's a way of saying, hey, listen up. What you're about to hear has been preserved with incredible care. The Buddha was an absolute master at using simple, everyday examples to explain really deep ideas. And in this particular talk, he compares the whole journey of spiritual development to the work of a shepherd. It's just a brilliant way to make something that feels abstract and complicated seem totally concrete and, manageable. So the core idea is really simple but incredibly powerful. An incompetent shepherd, somebody who just doesn't know their craft, is going to see their herd get sick and shrink. But a competent one, well, their herd is going to flourish and grow strong. The Buddha says that exact same principle applies to our inner life, to our minds. And he didn't just leave it there. He actually broke it down into 11 specific qualities. First, he lays out the 11 things a bad spiritual shepherd does wrong, and then he gives us the 11 corresponding skills of a good one. It's basically a super clear, practical roadmap for cultivating a mind that really thrives. All right, so before we get to all the good stuff, let's take a quick look at the warning signs. The Buddha outlines 11 ways a person can totally fail at tending to their own spiritual well-being, just like a bad shepherd messing up with their herd. This is the what not to do list. This shepherd doesn't get the nature of things. They can't tell good from bad. They let pests just fester. And for us, that translates to letting harmful thoughts take root, not guarding our senses from negativity, or, greedily taking more than we actually need. These are the pitfalls, the ways we all get stuck. But here's the cool part. For every single one of these, there's a positive skill we can learn instead. Okay, and this is where it gets really good. Let's dive into the first 6 skills of a competent spiritual shepherd. These are the foundational practices for building a really healthy, thriving mind. First up, knows form. At its core, this just means seeing things as they really are. It's about being able to look at the world and understand its fundamental nature, that everything physical is just a temporary mix of elements, earth, water, fire, and air. This isn't just some ancient physics lesson. It's a practice to help us reduce our attachment to things being permanent. Next, you've got to be skilled in marks. Now, the marks here aren't physical signs. There are actions. A wise person is known by their helpful, wholesome actions, and a fool, well, by their unwholesome ones. So this skill is really all about developing the wisdom to see where our actions lead and then choosing wisely. Oh, I love this one. A good shepherd literally removes gadfly eggs from his cattle before they can hatch and cause a whole mess. In exactly the same way, a skilled spiritual practitioner removes harmful thoughts, greed, anger, cruelty, the second they pop up. It's like a proactive mental hygiene. Don't let the pests hatch in your mind. A shepherd covers an animal's wound to keep it from getting infected. For us, the wounds are our 6 senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and even our thoughts. If we just leave them unguarded, they become these open gateways for craving and anger. So covering the wounds just means practicing a little restraint and being really mindful of what we're letting into our minds. Okay, this next one, makes smoke. Might sound a little weird, but a shepherd would light a smoky fire to keep insects away from the herd. Spiritually speaking, this means sharing what you've learned with other people. By explaining the path, you not only help protect them from getting lost, but you actually deepen your own understanding in the process. A shepherd has to know the safest place to lead the herd across a river. That's the ford. For us, knowing the ford means knowing where to go for help when we're feeling stuck. It means having the humility to go to wise, experienced teachers, to ask questions, and to get our doubts cleared up instead of trying to brave the treacherous waters all by ourselves. All right, let's get into the final 5 skills. This is where we see it all start to build. These qualities take us from just having a solid foundation to really mastering the art of tending to our inner world with wisdom and, importantly, a real sense of connection. A good shepherd knows which watering holes are clean and which are going to make the herd sick. Knowing what has been drunk means finding genuine joy and spiritual nourishment in the teachings. This isn't about dry intellectual study. It's about drinking deeply from that wisdom and feeling a real sense of happiness and inspiration that actually fuels your journey. This one is absolutely crucial. A shepherd has to know the path to the pasture. For a spiritual seeker, this means really knowing the Noble Eightfold Path. Right understanding, right intention, right speech, all of it. It's the clear, time-tested map that leads us out of confusion and into clarity. So, if the Eightfold Path is the trail, then the pasture, the place where the herd can safely rest and get nourishment, is the practice of mindfulness. Being skilled in pasture means being good at the 4 foundations of mindfulness, staying aware of your body, your feelings, your mind, and your thoughts. Here's another amazing farming metaphor. Milks with remainder. A wise shepherd doesn't milk a cow totally dry. They leave enough for the calf, which ensures the cow stays healthy. For a monk, this meant knowing how to be moderate when accepting donations. But for all of us, it's such a powerful lesson in contentment, in gratitude, and in not taking more than we really need. And finally, a good shepherd shows special respect to the lead bulls of the herd. This last skill is all about honoring those who are more experienced on the path, the elders and teachers in our community. It's about cultivating a genuine attitude of respect and loving kindness in everything we do, say, and think. So after going through all 11 of these skills, the big question is, how do we actually apply this stuff today? The key thing to remember is that these aren't just ancient rules for monks. They are a practical guide for every single one of us to become a competent shepherd of our own mind. You can really boil all 11 skills down into 3 core practices. First, know yourself and the path. That means seeing reality clearly and understanding the consequences of your actions. Second, discipline your mind. Actively remove negativity, guard your senses, and practice mindfulness. And third, engage with wisdom. Learn from others, share what you know, and find real joy in the whole process. You know, this ancient parable isn't just a story, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to become an active, a skillful, and a compassionate shepherd of your own mind. So, looking at this list, which one of these skills are you going to bring into your life starting today?